Hello, everyone. I wanted to take a little bit of time to address some of the questions that I get from people who are interested in engaging in past life regression hypnosis with me. And I thought that I would take a time with this podcast to explain some things in case you are thinking that it might be something you're interested in doing, or that you thought it might be a solution to a problem that you want to address. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Maureen. I've been a healthcare practitioner for 20 years, and I practice hypnotherapy, working with primarily women who are interested in issues surrounding self-esteem, body image, health, whether that be a phobia, whether that be weight loss, whether that be a need to grow spiritually. And the spiritual side of my hypnosis practice is what leads to people possibly choosing to engage in age regression hypnosis. But today I want to talk to you specifically about past life regression hypnosis, just in a general sense of what it is, when is a good time to choose it or not, and how you might expect sessions to go about if you would choose to work with a therapist like myself. So first, you should know that from a health psychology perspective, and you have to remember that I do approach all of my hypnosis work with clients from a psychology perspective, not from a paranormal perspective. I do hold an undergraduate degree in psychology from McGill University, and I am a professional member of the Canadian Counselling and Psychotherapy Association. So all of the work that I do with my clients, whether it be of a spiritual nature or strictly of a psychological or behavioral nature, is always within the context of healthy clinical psychology. That being said, if we're thinking from the viewpoint of wanting to have a healthy mind, there's actually a very good reason why we don't remember all of our past lives. And there's also the question of whether or not you even believe that you do have past lives. And you should know that when I engage in past life regression hypnosis with clients, whether they firmly believe in it or they're somewhat ambivalent, the therapeutic effect is the same, because we are accessing wisdom within their subconscious mind that often helps lead to clarity and resolution. But the main reason why we don't remember our past lives has a lot to do with the understanding of the way the human mind works. And within hypnotherapy, we understand that we have your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, which is the place where we store all of our knowledge and memories that we only access when we really need them. So you can imagine how much confusion would be created within your mind if you had access to all of these memories, but you didn't know how to logically sort them out. And that's why we believe that the history of our past lives is stored in our subconscious. There are also those who believe that it is stored within our Akashic records, and Akashic records is a separate subject. But with regards to accessing them through our subconscious mind, in fact, we never really access them until we're ready or if there is a need. And that means that some of you might go through an experience that triggers that awakening, that memory, or that desire. And that can be a spiritual awakening, a spiritual crisis, a personal crisis, a sense or experience of déjà vu with a person or a place, an unexplained fear or phobia or preoccupation that you don't know where it's coming from, but you wish you did, and you feel that if you did, somehow it could lead to resolution, or a longing for something or somewhere that might feel intangible. It might feel elusive, yet it persists, and you feel like you want to get to the bottom of it. Those are often the reasons why people come to me saying, I feel that past life regression hypnosis might be helpful for me because, right? And then we start discussing the because. So you should know that when clients come to a therapist like myself, we're not doing research into your past life simply to satisfy your curiosity. In fact, accessing random bits of debris in your subconscious, or if you're guided into past life hypnosis by a therapist who is not properly clinically trained, you might jump in and out to scenes and times and places in a rather chaotic or random manner. And this can also, once again, lead to a lot of upset and confusion because our conscious mind doesn't know how to deal with them and process them. And that's why, in fact, you actually need to be prepared in order to deal with what you're going to find and access in your subconscious mind when you engage in a past life regression hypnosis session. So, working with a professional who is ethical and responsible will mean that they will choose to only work with clients who want to do regression hypnosis that, first of all, can demonstrate a pressing need. They can say to me, I really feel that going into my past lives will help give me an answer or a clarity or peace of mind with regards to this, and doing it will bring me that. They have a very clear knowledge and understanding of why they want to do it. They're able to articulate it, and they know that somehow getting answers to those questions is tied in with their current sense of happiness or their sense of self or an existential period or crisis where they might be in their lives where they feel that they're stuck. And the only way they can move on is if they can get answers to these nagging questions that don't seem to exist or be readily available within the conscious world. And so that's when past life regression hypnosis can be useful. You can also be showing very specific symptoms. And there are times, in fact, where I might actually recommend past life regression hypnosis. And that might be to someone who is suffering from a phobia or a fear, where the source of it is unexplained, and where I can see that as I'm going through therapy with this client, that until we get to the bottom of where this phobia is coming from, they will not have 100% resolution. Any hypnosis that is just trying to change the behavior sometimes is just a band-aid approach, and some people need to delve into the origin of it. That might mean doing some regression, age regression within this lifetime to get to that triggering moment. But sometimes it can also mean being open and willing to going into and exploring past lives to see if your fear or phobia or a recurring ongoing emotional condition stems from even before this lifetime. Now, in terms of moods, of course, when I talk with a client to determine whether or not past life regression hypnosis is useful for them, I do have to determine if they are mentally stable and ready to access this kind of information. So in that case, past life regression hypnosis might not be appropriate for everyone. But that being said, recurring moods or unexplained reactions, unexplained emotional reactions to things might be an indication that past life regression hypnosis is useful. For example, whenever I find myself having to go and deal with this person who I barely know, I have this unexplained emotional reaction to them, and I don't know why, and I'd like to get to the bottom of it. So it can be an emotional or an inadequate feeling or mood, but it's often very situation specific or triggered by something. Past life regression hypnosis is not always indicated for somebody who is suffering from an ongoing emotional or mood disorder, such as ongoing clinical depression or ongoing severe generalized anxiety, or specifically any form of dissociative disorder. Past life regression in cases like this might actually exacerbate some of your symptoms, and generally we would not recommend it for people under such circumstances. But getting a glimpse into your past life history can explain the underlying nature of some of your difficult or challenging relationships with someone, and can lead to a sense of understanding and clarity and resolution that can be much more rapid than long-term ongoing psychodynamic psychoanalysis or other forms of ongoing talk therapy. Sometimes being able to get to the bottom of why you have a recurring dynamic that does not seem to want to resolve itself with a particular person in your life, finding that you had a relationship with that person within a different context in a previous life, and now that dynamic is continuing to play out within this life, can help give you context, able to step back and be able to say, aha, now I understand why this is happening with this person, with this situation. It gives me a broader context. Sometimes it gives the person the ability to have compassion for themselves or for the other person. And it can help to lead to clarity and peace of mind. And that can often be sufficient to give a person a certain degree of resolution with regards to the problem. So in order to engage in or prepare for past life regression hypnosis, you should have a clear intention and be able to articulate or explain to me why that information is needed, what is the specific dynamic or situation that you want to try to explore. And then from there, our hypnosis sessions are going to be very exploratory, which is very different from standard hypnotherapy or hypnosis sessions, whereby I am guiding you. When we're doing past life regression hypnosis, I am actually just guiding you into your subconscious mind, but your subconscious mind is going to choose and decide the pivotal moments or the significant moments earlier in this life or in past lives that are related to the issue that you want to address. So just like any other form of energy therapy, often we say being clear in your intention and putting your energy into your intention will give you results. The same thing when you go into past life regression hypnosis, being clear in what your intention is will allow your subconscious mind to then take over and guide you to those key pivotal experiences or times in past life that are related to what your goal is in this session to help give you clarity or understanding. So I might be coaching you or guiding you to help you access this hidden information, but ultimately it will be your subconscious mind that will decide where and when it will take you. And that's why I always explain to my clients that hypnotherapy is not me controlling your mind. It is actually me teaching you how to access your subconscious mind and develop skills in order to be able to access a reservoir of information that is normally hidden to you. So our goals are clear. Our goal is to access significant moments within, if we do age regression within this life, significant moments within this life, or significant moments within past lives. Your subconscious mind will choose those moments, and only moments that you are ready to face. So in fact, it's a good idea to come into a past life regression hypnosis session being open to what moments we might explore or what might come up. You should be clear in what your goal is, what you want to try to find out, but you should not come in saying, I believe that this happened to me in this past lifetime and I want to go back to that moment, because your subconscious mind is going to choose what is best for you and what you're ready to be able to face. Now, in terms of being able to actually access this information, of course, some people have subconscious minds that are more active than others and are more able to recall their past lives more easily and with less effort than other people. I naturally gravitated into this form of work because I found that I was able to spontaneously, through guidance of others, but also through my own meditation, access this information and explore it. And so this is a predisposition or perhaps even a psychic gift that I have, and having had a lot of experience with it within myself, it naturally follows that I become a good guide in being able to help you also access them. But regardless of how easily you progress during a session, it is always done in a progressive manner. And that means that it's usually done within a series of 2 to 3 sessions. I know some people are eager and impatient, and they may come to me having had no prior experience with any forms of altered mental states, or no prior experience with actually deep state trance hypnosis, and yet they would like within the first session to be able to access a past life. Generally speaking, we prepare your mind to be able to go to that point. That means that you might need a first session whereby I am going to teach you how to access your subconscious mind, teach you how to go into a trance, and teach you the skill of actual hypnosis itself and self-hypnosis with me guiding you. If you're ready and if things go well within that session, we might regress back to moments, age regression within this lifetime of positive experiences to try to see if we can get you there. And that might be as far as we go within the first session. Remember, the mind is a muscle, and like every other muscle of the body, it requires practice and training. Only after that will we look at perhaps going back into another hypnosis session with a second session, whereby if we were able to easily get you to access past moments and get glimpses of them, now we're going to bring you into those moments and actually have you experience them and see what we can take away from them. Then from there, we are going to have you travel in time and go back into past lives and also see what experiences can come up, what information you might gather, and then bring that back with you. And that would be sufficient for a second session. Remember, too much, just like food, to digest too much all at once can be overloading for the conscious mind. So we are going to do it progressively and add on and go deeper with each session so that when you come out of your trance state, you're able to bring back information, digest it, gain clarity and understanding before we go on to the next session. We might then go into a third session whereby our goal is now to go back to those periods in time that you identified in our previous session with the purpose of doing therapeutic work. And here's where we might dig in a little bit deeper, and we might try to explore a little bit more the emotional component or the trauma component to a particular memory in a past life, and explore that fully so that we can help give you resolution, so that when you come out of your trance and come back into today's world, and now we can help you be able to break that cycle of a recurring fear or a recurring phobia. So you can understand how it would not be healthy for you and it would not make sense to try to bring you within the first session into hypnosis, into a deep trance subconscious state, into a past life, and then try to work at doing some resolution within that past life. That would be too much and that would be overwhelming for a person. And in fact, it would be irresponsible for me as a therapist to ask that much of a person within one session. Now, while I'm on the subject of the way we progress through sessions, I wanted to tell you that when I am doing any type of age regression or past life regression hypnosis, I work with clients one session at a time, meaning I do not take the classical approach that I take when I'm doing standard hypnotherapy work. Normally in those cases, a client is going to commit to a series of sessions. In a case of doing past life regression, I allow clients to book one session at a time, thereby allowing them to be able to decide themselves if they want to do a subsequent session to go further, and then a third possible session in order to go deeper, and also with the time interval between sessions that suits them, that suits you. Some people need, a few days, a week, a couple of weeks in order to be able to digest and process the information that they might have gathered in a session before they're ready to move on to a next one. So there's never a question or asking you to commit prior. to prepaying for a series of sessions, but do know that it is quite possible that you will need up to 2 to 3 sessions in order to get to a deep past life state where we're working on trying to resolve an issue. Now, let me get back to some of the questions that people ask where they'll say, how can I know, or they'll talk to me about some of the experience that they've had, recollections, things that are triggering them, and they're wondering, is this an indication that I'm having past life memories coming up? And does that mean that it would be good for me to go into a past life regression session in order to get more information about those? And in fact, yes. For example, you might have memories from past lives that can come up spontaneously. It has happened with me when I have met people with whom I found that unexpectedly I had a very strong spiritual, unexplainable connection with that person, that during that time at the beginning when that relationship was reestablishing itself and being rediscovered, that I was having spontaneous recollections of situations that I could not explain. And all I could understand of it was that perhaps this was images related to my relationship with this person in a past life, that when I had met this person, now some of these memories of significant events when I knew this person in a past life were now popping and coming up into my conscious mind. I have to admit that without having anyone to be able to answer and guide me through this, it was quite perplexing and a little bit overwhelming. But that's an example of what can happen when things can pop up into your conscious mind. They can be activated by people. They can be activated by trips to certain places, and that's where that sense of déjà vu can come up. They can be activated even by listening to old music, which has happened to me before, by reading historical novels, by meeting certain people, by seeing historical images. I had a client who saw images of children being transported, the kinder transport that took place in certain countries in Europe during the Holocaust. And when she saw those images, she had the most intense emotional reaction and she started to cry, and she was crying for days. And she reached out to me saying, I don't understand why I had this reaction to this image. When we did past life regression hypnosis together, we discovered that she had, in a previous life, had actually been one of those children that had been on a kinder transport and had been taken away from her family and her homeland in order to be safe during the time of the Holocaust. Not surprisingly, she was actually going through the conversion process. She had had a spiritual awakening, and she had decided that she wanted to convert to Judaism. And she didn't really have an explanation as to why. And when she saw these historical pictures, it triggered an emotional reaction within her that she couldn't explain, but that was very upsetting. And when we did the past life regression hypnosis, it helped to give her peace and clarity as to why she felt the need to come back to her Jewish ancestry, because her soul had been Jewish in the past. And this gave her a lot of peace of mind in many aspects of her life. But what had the trigger been? Seeing a picture that actually was representative of something related to traumatic experiences or significant times in her past lives. Now, it's not always traumatic. Sometimes people might feel a calling to certain types of work. I often, years ago, used to say, I am convinced that I was an apothecarist in a previous life because I still love to have my mortar and pestle and crush up herbs and flowers and make all of this myself. And I have a kitchen full of them, and there's no explanation for why it feels so natural. And I love scouring supermarkets, especially ethnic supermarkets, in order to find dried flowers and herbs and make concoctions out of them, because this comes naturally to me and I love it. And that's why I often tell people, I'm sure I was an apothecarist in a previous life. So you might have a passion for something, a love of it, which is actually a good thing, and a desire to do past life regression hypnosis in order to get an answer to something is not always related to a trauma. It can be related to a longing that you feel, a love of something that you have. You want to make a change. You want to move towards a new career or a new place. And you're wondering if you're not just being crazy. And so doing past life regression hypnosis can allow you to call up within your subconscious mind memories of times and events that actually are related to longings or desires that you're feeling in this lifetime. And that can give people that sense of peace and clarity where they can say, now I understand why I hate living in the city and I always wanted to live by the coast, and why I want to sell everything and move, because in the past this is where I lived and I was happy and peaceful, and I want to go back to who my soul ultimately is and to live in a way that feels natural and good to me with regards to my soul, regardless of what I'm doing now in this lifetime. So very often it helps people to reconnect with who they are on a deeper soul level. Another way that I've helped people with past life regression hypnosis is when they feel they're kind of stuck in terms of life decisions or career decisions, and they say, I feel like I would like to know what I should be doing. I don't know. I have an interest in this. And I say, aha, you want to try to find out what your hidden gifts are. And they say, yeah, that's exactly the way I would explain it. And so when we do past life regression hypnosis with them, we find that we can bring them back to times in past lives where they were living places or engaging in professions or activities that they loved. And when we access those memories, they will come back into the today and to now world and say, now I understand where whenever I drive by and I see those horses, I want so much to be able to just go and ride horses, and I've always had a desire to work with them, but I never acted on it. Now I understand why. I think I'm going to go take some horseback riding lessons and fulfill that unexplained desire. So those are examples of how engaging in past life regression can actually be very satisfying and doesn't necessarily involve the need for us to go back and to, chip away or try to understand or explain some traumatic situations. It can sometimes be situations or experiences that can bring clarity and a sense of satisfaction. Another example of triggers and things that can come up sometimes seemingly out of nowhere that are emanating from your subconscious mind, that are trying to tell you something, and that means that you're ready to actually look at them and explore them, is within dreams or synchronicities. So a person will say, I noticed this synchronicity recurring. And you might have synchronicities recurring in your life, but you don't notice them. But if you notice them and you're paying attention to them, and the same thing with your dreams, it means that you are ready to face them and to uncover what the significance of them is and how understanding them in this lifetime will actually help you and your soul move forward in its natural evolution and growth. So sometimes doing past life regression therapy can help you be able to resolve answers and questions that you don't have about recurring thoughts or unpleasant things that you would like to be able to eliminate in your life. And other times, past life regression therapy can actually help to bring you happiness and clarity and joy because you are a seeker and you are on a path and you want to know what your life purpose is meant to be. You feel that perhaps you would like to move on in certain ways in your life, but you would like to just get a little bit more clarity and understanding to be sure, and you feel that past life regression hypnosis might be useful for you. Those are some of the ways that I work with clients, and as I mentioned previously, sometimes working with a client who comes to me with a more superficial need, like a fear of driving, might actually cause me to gently suggest to them, I feel that if we were to do some regression therapy, perhaps we might be able to uncover the original cause of it, because I feel that not being able to identify the cause of it, in this case, your hypnotherapy is a bit of a band-aid approach. Other times clients might ask about it just out of curiosity, but it's not appropriate for them for some of the reasons that I just mentioned. And then other times people come to me for the reasons that I just discussed with you today, because they feel a desire or an interest or a longing. Those are some of the contexts within my practice that past life regression hypnosis can come up and can be useful to people, and where I might consider working with them. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and I just wanted to wish you a wonderful day. And of course, if any of this speaks to you and you would like to discuss the possibility of scheduling sessions with me, you're more than welcome to reach out. My email address is osteopsychspirit@gmail.com. That's OS as in Sam, TEO, PSYCH for spirit, for psych, spirit, SPIRIT@gmail.com. osteopsychspirit@gmail.com. And you can also click on some buttons on my website, which will allow you to be able to send me an email, read up about it, read about what's involved. And if you would like to discuss more, I'm more than welcome to take the time. And I always do discuss with a client, either through a live virtual session or a live phone conversation of about 15 to 20 minutes, just to get a clear idea of what your goal is, whether or not it might be appropriate for you. And in that case, I might send you the intake forms or some other forms that are a bit of a journaling questions that you can start writing down to help jog your mind and prepare yourself for what it is that you want to accomplish. Sometimes putting it down on paper can be very helpful for people. So there's a little bit of preparation for you to do before we actually move into a session, but I can explain all of that to you when we talk live. Wishing you a wonderful day. Once again, this is Maureen Hanna-Mahar, and I am a hypnotherapist, age regression therapist, and past life regression therapist. Wishing you a wonderful day.